They drag me into the torchlit hall like a piece of trash they're tired of smelling. Lot 23, the auctioneer calls, voice booming across the packed room. Omega, female, rejected. The crowd shifts back, rejected. The word lands like a curse. My mark, black, jagged, unforgiving, burns across my collarbone as though remembering the moment it was carved into me. The moment my own mate recoiled from my touch and whispered, "No, not her." Now I stand barefoot on a raised platform, wrists bound, head lowered, while the hall full of wolves stares at me as if I'm already dead. "Starting bid," the auctioneer says. 200 silver. Silence. 100. A woman snickers. "I wouldn't take her if you paid me." 50. Someone spits on the floor. "She's cursed. The moon rejected her too." 20. His voice cracks. Not a single hand rises. Every other Omega tonight has sold. Some for breeding, some for labor, some for amusement. But me? I'm the one they refuse to touch. "No buyers?" the auctioneer snaps. "Fine. She goes to the mines." My legs buckle. Wolves don't last long in the mines. Omegas even less. He lifts his gavel. "Sold to..." A voice like thunder rolls through the hall. 5,000 gold! The entire room drops to their knees. All except the man walking forward with slow, deliberate steps. Cloak black as midnight, gaze burning molten gold. The Alpha King. His eyes lock onto mine. Steady, unreadable, dangerous. "I'll take her," he says. My chest tightens. No one wanted the rejected Omega girl at the auction. Until the Alpha King bought her. Before I show you why a ruthless king spent 5,000 gold on a girl every wolf believed was cursed, and the terrifying price he demanded in return, hit subscribe, tap like, and comment. Would you rather be unwanted, or owned by a monster everyone fears? Your engagement keeps these stories alive. My name used to be Lyora Hale. Least important daughter of the least important family in the Mistfall pack. I grew up sweeping warrior halls, mending torn cloaks, and making myself small enough to avoid being stepped on. Omegas aren't loved. We're tolerated. And girls like me? We learn our place early. But everything changed the day of the moon choosing, when my mate, a strong young warrior named Kale, stepped forward, touched my cheek, and flinched. I felt the bond forming, thin and trembling like a newborn flame. Then, snap, it shattered. The rejection mark burned across my skin as he whispered, "I can't. She's wrong. She's dangerous." By nightfall, I was dragged from my home, branded as an omen, and hauled toward the shadow market, where packs sold their unwanted wolves. They told me someone would buy me. They lied. I watched girl after girl sold to strangers. I watched bids climb for Omegas with soft hair, gentle voices, hopeful eyes. And I watched those same buyers look at me and step back, as if sight alone might infect them with whatever curse twisted my mate's bond. I was shoved onto the auction stage last. By then, even the auctioneer looked tired of me. "Start low," someone shouted. "She's worthless. Throw her in the mines already." I closed my eyes, prepared for the gavel to fall, prepared to disappear. But then the torches flickered. The air thickened. Wolves dropped to their knees before I understood why. Because he had entered, the Alpha King of the bloodborne dominion, Cain Blackthorn, the scourge of the north, the man warlords whispered about in fear, the ruler whose wolf was said to be made of shadow and flame. No wolf dared meet his gaze, but he looked at me, not like the others, not with disgust, not with pity, like he saw something hidden under the dirt, the fear, the rejection, something even I didn't know existed. Then he spoke. One single sentence that would rewrite my entire life. 5,000 gold. She's mine. The crowd gasped. The auctioneer nearly fainted. I stood frozen, unable to breathe. No Omega in history had ever been bought for that much. Not a healer, not a fighter, not a noble blood, and certainly not a rejected girl everyone thought was cursed. Gods unchained me instantly. Hands trembling, the auctioneer bowed so low his forehead touched the floor. Your Majesty, he stammered. She is yours. But the king didn't look at them, only at me. Up close, he smelled of winter wind and iron. His presence swallowed the space around us. Every instinct in me screamed to kneel. Instead, he reached forward and lifted my chin. Look at me, Omega. I did, and the world shifted. Not because he was beautiful, not because he was powerful, but because in his burning golden eyes, I saw something terrifying. Recognition. As if he already knew me. As if he'd been searching for me. Before I could speak, he turned sharply. Bring her. Guards hurried to obey. Outside, a massive black stallion stamped impatiently. Soldiers bowed as the king mounted. I moved toward a smaller mare, but he stopped me with a single word, no. He extended a hand. Ride with me. My breath caught. His soldiers looked away, unable to watch their king pull a rejected Omega onto his own horse. His arm came around my waist, anchoring me against him. Hold on. The stallion lunged into the night, carrying us away from the market, away from the wolves who threw me aside, and toward a destiny I had never imagined. The wind lashed my hair, snow burned my cheeks, and the king's heartbeat pressed steady against my back. I didn't know if I'd been rescued or claimed, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. The Alpha King had paid far too much for a girl worth nothing, and men like him never make mistakes. They make moves, deadly ones. Snow burns my cheeks as the Alpha King's stallion thunders through the forest, carrying us far from the auction, where everyone refused even to touch me. His cloak shields me from the wind, but not from the terrifying truth. I don't know why he bought me. I don't ask as we ride. I'm too afraid he'll answer. By dawn, a fortress of black stone rises from the mountain. Jagged towers, swirling banners, guards in armor darker than night. The Iron Citadel, the seat of the bloodborne dominion. A place Omegas aren't meant to see, unless it's to die in the dungeons. The gates groan open. Wolves bow, but their eyes snap to me with disgust and confusion. No one understands why a rejected Omega rides behind their king's saddle. Cain dismounts and pulls me down by the waist, setting me gently on my feet. The gesture sends a shockwave of whispers rippling through the courtyard. A tall, grim man with grey-streaked hair approaches and bows. Your Majesty, Varric, Cain replies. Any disturbances? Not today, but... Varric's gaze lands on me like a knife. You brought home a stray. Cain doesn't acknowledge the insult. He simply says, "Prepare the east wing." Varric freezes. "The east wing for her?" Gasps echo around us. The east wing is where ambassadors and noble houses stay, never an omega, much less a rejected one. My heart races. "My king, I don't need—" "Quiet," he says, not unkindly, but with finality. He leads me inside. The citadel is breathtaking and terrifying. Cavernous halls, ancient tapestries, echoes of battles fought long before I was born. Another man joins us, younger, sharp-eyed, with a teasing grin. Well, but I'm Aldrich, captain of the guard, and you must be today's catastrophe." I flush. "I didn't mean to—" Aldrich waves it off. "Relax. This place has been boring for months." Cain shoots him a glare that could melt iron. Aldrich clears his throat and adjusts course. Ahem. I meant. Welcome." We climb a spiral staircase. Cain stops before a carved door glowing faintly with embedded runes. "This is your chamber," he says. "My... what?" He opens the door. Warm pelts, a massive bed, a hearth crackling with fire, soft lantern light, thick carpets. It's more luxury than I've seen in my entire life. "I can't stay here," I whisper. "You can," he answers, "and you will." I swallow hard. "Why?" He studies me for a long moment. His golden eyes burn with something that isn't pity. Something sharper, heavier. "Elara, when you were rejected, something ancient tried to mark you. Something stronger than a mate bond. My seers saw it." I stare. "What?" He steps closer. "The night your mate turned you away. The moon turned blood red over my kingdom. Wards cracked. Visions tore through the seers, all of them showing the same wolf." His voice drops to a low, terrifying whisper. "You." A chill races down my spine. "You think I'm cursed?" I breathe. "I think," he says, "that whatever reached for you that night is the same force attacking my borders. And if it wants you—" His jaw tightens. "I need to know why." I shake my head. "I'm not special. My pack called me defective. My mate said I felt wrong." His eyes flash with fury that isn't aimed at me. "He was a guarded," Cain says. "You survived something that should have killed you. I will find out why." I back away. "I'm just an omega. A rejected one." "You are not just anything," he says sharply. "Not anymore." He gestures toward the room. "Rest, eat, bathe. No one touches you here." "No one?" His gaze turns darker than the citadel walls. "Anyone who tries will answer to me." The air between us tightens, not soft, not comforting, but charged with something I don't dare name. He turns to leave, but pauses at the door. "Elara." I look up. "You belong to my protection now, not my chains." My breath stutters. Then he is gone, leaving the room too warm and too quiet. I sink onto the pelts, trembling. Why did he buy me? Why place me in the East Wing? Why speak like he's known me longer than a single night? I curl beneath the blankets, exhaustion pulling at my bones. My mate rejected me. My pack abandoned me. And yet a king. A deadly one? paid 5,000 gold for my life. Not because he wanted an omega, because he wants answers. And I'm terrified of what happens when he realizes I don't have them. Outside my window, the wind howls. Inside, the fire crackles. And I understand one thing with absolute clarity. The Alpha King didn't save me out of mercy. He bought me with purpose. And kings never make purchases they don't intend to use. I wake to soft light filling the room. Warm bread sits on a tray. Clean clothes lie folded at the foot of the bed. A steaming bath waits beneath the window. No one has ever prepared anything for me before. Not in my pack, not in my mate's house, not anywhere. A knock startles me. Before I can speak, Aldrich pokes his head in. "Morning, little Omega. The king wants you in the Hall of Seers." My stomach twists. Why? "Something's happening," he mutters. "Something big. You're part of it." I follow him through vaulted corridors, carved with old runes. The deeper we go, the colder the air becomes, until the walls hum with a strange power. Aldrich stops before a heavy iron door. "Try not to faint," he warns. Seers get dramatic. The door opens on its own. Inside, 7 robed figures sit in a half circle, their eyes glowing silver. Cain stands at the center, back to me, hands clasped behind him. When he senses me, he turns. "Elara," he says, "come." My feet feel rooted, but I move. One seer lifts her thin hand. "Bring her closer." Her aura is shifting. Aldrich nudges me forward. My pulse hammers. Cain's gaze softens, only slightly. "Don't fear them." Easy for him to say. The eldest seer leans in. "Child, what do you dream of?" "Dream?" My voice cracks. "Nothing. I don't. Look at me," the seer orders. Her fingers brush my cheek. Suddenly, the room disappears. All I see is red. A forest burning, wolves screaming, a massive shadow moving through the flames. And on the ground, me, unmoving. My throat marked with a glowing symbol I've never seen before. I stumble back with a gasp. Cain grabs my arms. "What did you see?" I don't know." My voice trembles. "I saw fire, a giant shadow, and me, dead." The seers begin whispering urgently. She is the key. She carries the dormant mark, bound to the void wolf. Cain's grip tightens. "Explain." The eldest seer steps forward. "A curse rests on this girl. Ancient, violent, the same force that's breaching the kingdom's borders. She survived the first triggering, but it will awaken again soon." I shake my head. "Cursed? No. My mate rejected me because he said I felt wrong. Broken. That doesn't mean... It means exactly that." The seer snaps. "Your mate sensed the mark." I look at Cain, desperate for denial. He doesn't deny it. Instead, he says, "How do we break it?" "You cannot break it," the seer whispers. "Only control it. Then teach her." The seer laughs, dry and cruel. "Teach an Omega? She has no strength." A growl rumbles in Cain's chest. "She will learn," he says coldly, "or I will make every seer here answer for the consequences." Silence crashes across the chamber. Aldrich mutters, "Well, that escalated." Cain puts a hand on my back. "Enough for today." As we leave, the eldest seer calls out, "King Cain, one warning." He stops. When the mark awakens, the wolf inside her may not recognize you as king. It may try to kill you. My blood goes cold. Cain looks over his shoulder, expression unreadable. Let it try. He leads me into the corridor. I'm barely breathing. Why did you ask them to train me? I can't fight. I can't do anything. You can, he says. I saw it the moment you stepped onto the auction platform. You saw... what? That you were still alive. His voice is quiet, but not soft. Elara, Omegas don't survive ancient curses. They burn from the inside. But you stood there, shaking, terrified, but alive. That means strength. I don't feel strong. You will. We reach a balcony overlooking the frozen valley. Snow swirls below us like a sea of ghosts. Cain rests his hands on the railing. Tell me what happened the night you were rejected. My throat tightens. I don't like to think about it. Tell me anyway. I close my eyes. My mate, Rowan. He was excited to meet his fated partner. He kept saying she'd be gorgeous, beautiful, pure. Then he scented me, and his smile just vanished. I swallow. He said my aura felt wrong. That being near me made his skin crawl. He said if he touched me, he'd lose his mind. Cain's jaw clenches. He told me to leave the pack, that I was cursed, that if I stayed, I'd ruin him. Cain's fingers curl into the railing until the metal groans. What did you feel that night? He asks. Cold, I whisper. Like something inside me was waking up. Something hungry. Cain turns to me, eyes intense. You think that makes you weak? Omegas break. They bend. They submit. But you didn't. You survived the kind of energy that destroys alphas. I shake my head. You don't know what I am. He steps closer. And neither do you. That's why you're here. Why? My voice cracks. Why do you care? Because the force coming for my kingdom wants you. He lifts my chin. And I intend to know why before it gets here. A sharp horn blares from the courtyard below. We both freeze. Aldrich sprints onto the balcony. My king, border alarm. The wards are cracking. Something is trying to cross. Cain straightens instantly. All softness evaporates. Elara, he says, go to your chambers and do not leave. Aldrich will guard you. I reach for him without thinking. Cain. He pauses, eyes flicking to my hand. Then he gently moves it away. I'll be back. He leaps over the balcony railing, shifting mid-air into a massive black wolf that lands silently on the snow before sprinting toward the gates. The ground shakes. The sky flickers red. Something ancient presses against the kingdom's borders. Something cold, something hungry. Something that feels like it remembers me. Aldrich grabs my wrist. Come on, you heard him. We hurry back toward the east wing. But halfway through the corridor, the torches gutter and die. The air turns icy. A whisper curls through the dark. Little Omega. My blood freezes. We finally found you. The corridor goes black. One heartbeat. There are torches. The next, there's nothing but cold. Aldrich yanks me behind him, sword scraping free. Stay back! The air thickens with frost. My breath fogs, then disappears altogether. Little Omega. The voice slithers along the stone, inside my bones, inside my mark. The king hides you well. My knees buckle. Pain flares across my collarbone where the rejection mark lives. It feels like claws scratching from the inside. Show yourself, Aldrich snarls. Laughter. Thin. Echoing. Everywhere. Shadows on the walls twist into shapes. Wolves with 2 long jaws, eyes like pits. My wolf shrinks, whining. The ground trembles. A surge of power slams into the citadel. From somewhere deep below, I feel it. The wards straining, groaning, then cracking like ice under too much weight. Cain. I feel him through the bond that doesn't exist and yet does. His fury, his wolf, his power throwing itself at the invading cold. The presence around us shifts, annoyed. Later, little vessel. It whispers. Your cage breaks. We'll come back for you when the king is bleeding. The shadows collapse. Sucked away as if someone has yanked an invisible cord. The torches flare to life. I stagger. Aldrich catches me. You're freezing, Hess, he mutters. Hands burning against my skin. What did it say? That it's coming back, I whisper. For me. A horn blares again, closer this time. Voices shout from the lower levels. The fortress is moving. Running, arming, bracing. Aldrich grips my shoulders. We don't have time to panic. The king's at the front. If you feel anything else, I'll tell you. I manage. He drags in a breath. Good, because if he finds out you kept something from him, he'll kill me first and yell at you after. We reach the battlements. The sight steals what little breath I have left. Beyond the outer wall, the sky is wrong. The world blurs where the wards should be. A shimmering curtain that usually keeps the worst out. Now, black veins crawl through the barrier, eating away at the light. Cain, in wolf form, stands on the highest ledge, fur bristling, eyes blazing gold. His aura pulses against the corrupted wards, trying to force them back into alignment. It's not enough. The black cracks widen. Soldiers brace with spears and bows. But they're aiming at fog, at nothing, at everything. It's not a thing you can stab, I say, throat raw. It's already inside. Aldrich glances at me. Then tell me what we can hit. I focus. The cold crawling over my skin pulls in a single direction. Downward, into the heart of the citadel. Into the places where wounded wolves lie. It's moving through wounds, I whisper. Through pain. Like with the patrols. Maris, Aldrich breathes. The infirmary. He grabs my hand. Come on! The infirmary is chaos. Wolves groan on beds. Maris and her assistants rush between them, their faces tight. The air smells of blood and fear and something else. Rotting winter. The scent of the curse. Maris spots us. We're losing them. Wounds that were healing are turning black. And the ones with even minor injuries are changing. She jerks her chin at a young soldier on the nearest bed. He thrashes, veins dark beneath his skin, eyes filmed over. His wound, a slice across the ribs, oozes thick, blackened blood. I lurch back. That smell, that's the same as the boy from yesterday, Maris snaps. Yes, but now it's spreading faster. Aldrich looks at me. You managed to pull it out once. That was one wound, I whisper. This is all of them. 10 beds. Maybe more. All glowing in my inner sight like pits of cold fire. If the curse is in them, I say, heart pounding. It's inside the citadel. Inside the wards. It doesn't need to break in anymore. We carried it in ourselves. Aldrich swears softly. And the king's out there, punching the barrier while it eats us from the inside. Marise grabs my wrist. Can you reach it? At least in one of them. Show me what we're dealing with. My wolf presses forward. Yes, I say, before fear can say no. I choose the nearest soldier. A young man whose breathing is turning shallow, whose fingers claw at the sheets. I lay my hands on his chest. Cold bites into my palms like teeth. The world tunnels. I'm inside him. Not his thoughts, but his pain. His wound is a doorway, and something foul has already stepped through. The same oily presence from the corridor, from the veil, from my nightmares. It recognizes me instantly. There you are, it croons. Our almost host. Rage burns through my fear. This one isn't yours, I snarl. Neither am I. I pull. Light surges through my arms, down into the wound, along the veins, chasing the blackness. It fights, hooking claws into bone, into nerves, into whatever it can grab. Pain lances my ribs, as if I took his injury into myself. Let go, I grit out. Let go. For a moment, I think it will win. Then my wolf snaps. A howl tears through my chest. Not physical, not audible, but real. It rips through the curse, shredding its hold. For a heartbeat, I see its shape. A vast, many-mouthed shadow. And then it fractures into smoke. It comes screaming up my arms, into my lungs. I nearly choke. Breathe this out, Maris barks. Don't swallow it. I do the opposite of everything my body wants. Instead of gasping, I exhale, pushing the foulness out through my teeth. It pours from my mouth in black wisps, curling, hissing. Aldrich moves instantly, slamming a warded jar into place. The smoke gets yanked inside. He snaps the lid shut, runes flaring. The air clears. The soldier slumps, breathing steady. Colour returns to his cheeks. I sway. Maris catches me before I hit the floor. Well, that explains why the king dragged you here. My heart still races. We can't do this for everyone, it'll kill me. Maybe not everyone, she says, just the ones it's using as anchors. Aldrich's eyes narrow. Anchors? The curse is like mold. Maris says briskly. It spreads wherever it finds moisture. These wolves, they're the damp corners. Clean enough of them, and it can't hold. How do we know which ones matter most? He asks. Every bed, every wound, every ache buzzes at the edge of my awareness. But some pulses are stronger, deeper. Roots instead of branches. There, I whisper, beasts pointing. And there, and him. 3 wolves. 3 anchors. I move from bed to bed, hands burning, lungs screaming, dragging the darkness out again and again. Each time it resists more, hates more, shrieks louder. By the third, my vision blurs. Enough, Marissa says, voice sharper. You're done. One more, I rasp. No. I might argue, but suddenly the entire citadel shudders. We all freeze. The pressure suffocating the air lifts for one brief, glorious heartbeat. Like a held breath finally released. Aldrich stumbles to the window, peering out. The wards. They're repelling it. Whatever Kane did up there, he didn't do it alone, Maris says, eyes on me. He had help. I sag against the bed. Tell him to stop. If he keeps pushing, the wards will crack from the inside too. How do you know that? Aldrich demands. I felt the connection, I pant. Through the soldiers. Through him. If he drives it back in one blow, it'll just rush for the weakest point again. I touch my chest. Me. Them. Anyone touched. Aldrich curses. So, instead of slamming the door, we're... What? Rewriting the lock while it's trying to break in? Yes, I say. He groans. He's going to love that. But later, when the immediate crisis passes and the wards stabilize, not perfect but no longer crumbling, Kane storms into the infirmary, smelling of cold and fury. His gaze goes first to the healed soldiers, then to me, pale and shaking on a stool. What did you do? He demands. Kept your wolves alive. Maris answers flatly. You're welcome. He moves to me in 3 strides. Why didn't you stay in your chamber? He snaps. I bristle, because the curse didn't stay at the border, Tude. His eyes blaze. You touched it, again, without me there. You were a little busy fighting it outside. I shoot back. Someone had to rip it out here before it rooted deeper. Silence slams down. For a heartbeat, we just stare at each other, both shaking for different reasons. Then, unexpectedly, Kane laughs. It's a low, disbelieving sound. Of course, he mutters. Of course the moon would send me an Omega who argues with ancient curses. Do you want me to stop? I ask, still breathless. Because I will. Just say the word, and I'll go hide in your pretty room and pretend none of this is happening. His expression shifts. No, he says quietly, I don't want you to stop. He looks around at the beds, at the walls breathing because of me. For years, he says, I've only had one language, steel and fire. Hit the problem until it breaks, burn whatever's left, but this thing doesn't break that way. I finish softly. It breaks by being felt, faced, pulled out, bit by bit. He nods, just slowly. Come to the war room tonight, he says. My commanders need to understand what we're actually fighting. Marides snorts. Try not to pass out before then. Or do. I can't stop you idiots from saving the world in the most dangerous way possible. Kane's lips twitch. He offers me his hand. When I take it, a strange sense of rightness settles low in my chest. The rejected Omega and the ruthless King. 2 creatures the curse tried to break. Now choosing, however stubbornly, to stand together. Night falls heavy over the iron citadel. I'm escorted to the war room by Aldrich, who keeps glancing at me like I'm a bomb someone forgot to defuse. When the doors open, heat and tension spill into the corridor. Commanders stand around a massive stone table carved with the Dominion's map. Candles flicker. Wolves bristle. Cain stands at the head of the table, every inch a king carved from shadow and steel. His gaze locks onto me instantly. Everything inside me stumbles. "Begin," he orders. A commander gestures sharply at the map. The breach at Frostvale is stable, but patrols are reporting surges of... It's not a surge, I interrupt softly. It's looking for anchors. Every head turns. A ripple of irritation skims the air, until Cain raises his hand and silence snaps back into place. "Explain," he says. I swallow. The curse spreads through wounds, through pain, through weakness. It hides inside the injured so the wards can't detect it. A gruff commander scoffs. "Curses don't think, this one does," I say, and it hates being evicted. Aldrich sets the warded jar on the table with a dull thud. The runes pulse where the curse tried to escape earlier. The room goes dead still. Another commander, older and scarred, leans forward. "The king said the same thing last night. That the moment the girl stepped onto the platform, something old stirred." He looks at me long and hard. "What are you, Omega?" I feel the urge to shrink. But Cain's voice cuts through. "She is the reason this kingdom is still standing." Heat flushes my cheeks. "I just pulled out the roots." "And almost collapsed doing it," Cain adds sharply. "Which is why you don't move without permission." I bristle. If I waited for permission, half the infirmary would be dead. Aldrich coughs into his fist. "She's got you there, my king." Cain shoots him a murderous glare. I ignore them both. What the curse wants isn't the soldiers. It wants me. I'm an easier door. A perfect one, apparently. Cain's eyes darken. Not while I breathe. A strange warmth curls in my chest. Dangerous warmth. The scarred commander mutters, "Why would a curse mark an omega?" I look at Cain. "Tell them," he says. So I do. About the rejection. About the burn under my skin. About the night the moon turned red. When I finish, the room is silent. The eldest commander, Lord Holdren, exhales slowly. "Your mate's rejection didn't harm you. It triggered the curse. It latched onto your pain." "I know," I whisper. "I feel it every time someone bleeds near me." Cain stiffens. The room watches him. "Is that why you bought her?" one commander asks. "To weaponize her?" The question slices the air. Cain growls, low and lethal. "I bought her because she was drowning in a power none of us have ever seen. And because she would have died within hours if the Vale wolves tried to treat her." I blink. That's not the answer they expected, or the one I did. "But weapon core," Cain continues. "If anything, she's the only one who's managed to wound the curse. The only one." Aldrich raises a hand. "Actually, technically, she's the only one who..." Cain sends him a look that promises death. The room erupts into arguments. Strategies, troop movements, theories. I slip away from the table, unnoticed, and drift toward a large mirror mounted on the far wall. The glass ripples faintly as if responding to my approach. My mark burns. "Elara!" Cain's voice is suddenly behind me. When I turn, He's closer than expected, golden eyes sharp and searching. You shouldn't wonder. I'm still in the room. Not enough, he says. Not with what hunts you. My throat tightens. I don't want to be hunted. I know. His voice softens in a way that should be impossible for a man carved from granite and war. Your wolf is restless, he says quietly. I feel it. How? I whisper. He hesitates. Then, because mine reacts to yours. My breath snags. I don't understand. You will. His hand lifts toward my mark. Stops just shy of touching. Elara, he says, your curse responds to you, not the other way around. That means you can control it, bend it, use it. I shake my head. I can barely pull it out of others without collapsing. He steps even closer. Then I'll hold you up. His voice is low, steady, final. My heart pounds against my ribs. Before I can answer, the torches flicker violently. Every wolf in the room stiffens. Holdren snarls, "It's back!" A tremor shakes the walls. Papers scatter across the table. The map splits down the center as invisible claws rake across it. The curse laughs, not loud, but enough to make every hair on my body stand upright. Cain moves instantly, placing himself between me and the shaking walls. War positions, he commands. Wolves shift, bones cracking, snarls exploding in the room. The castle groans as shadows pour down from the ceiling like black rain. The curse doesn't take bodies this time. It takes the room. Cain grabs my wrist. Stay behind me. But even as I try, something stronger pulls me forward. The same force that dragged me into visions and dreams and nightmares. The curse whispers, "Come, vessel. The king cannot shield what belongs to us." My knees buckle. Cain catches me. But I'm already slipping. Not physically, but in my mind. The war room dissolves. The citadel disappears. I'm standing in a vast field of snow and ash. The sky above me is split open like a wound, and something massive moves inside it. A wolf-shaped shadow with no face, no fur. Only tendrils of darkness swirling where a body should be. The void wolf. The ancient curse. The thing that marked me. Its glowing eyes find mine. Did you think the king could buy you from us? It whispers. You are ours. No. My voice is a rasp. You chose the wrong girl. It snarls. A sound like metal shredding. And lunges. Cain's voice explodes through the vision. Elara, come back to me! And suddenly, as if dragged by sheer force of will, the real world slams back into place. I collapse into Cain's arms. He's shaking. Not in fear, in rage. What did it show you? He demands. I can barely breathe. It thinks it owns me. Cain's jaw locks. It owns nothing. His grip on me tightens. Unwavering, unbreakable. You are mine to protect, he says, voice rough. Not its. Something fierce and terrifying stirs behind his eyes, ancient and alpha and absolute. My wolf doesn't shy away. She leans into it. The war room shudders. Shadows pour along the ceiling like spilled ink, drawn to me even as Cain holds me against his chest. The wards won't hold another hit, Haldren snarls. If this continues, the citadel will crumble from the inside. It wants her, Varisi says quietly. As long as she's here, it has a door. Kane rounds on him. She is not a door. She's the only one who's managed to hurt it. That's exactly why it won't stop. Varric replies. It will keep coming until it either devours her, or she devours it. The words hang in the air. Devour it? I whisper. Varric's eyes meet mine. Not swallow. Redirect. There are old ward circles carved into the cliffs above the shadow veil. They were meant to channel wild magic into the land, to bind it instead of banish it. Haldren curses. Those circles haven't been used in generations. Then we use them now. Varric snaps. Let the curse pour into her, through her, into the mountain. Lock it there. Kane's voice drops to lethal. You're asking her to stand in the center of the oldest wound in this kingdom and let an ancient curse tear through her. I'm saying, Varric answers, that the only way out is through, and she is the only wolf alive who can survive the crossing. All eyes turn to me. My heart hammers. Outside, the walls groan. Somewhere below, stone cracks. Wolves shout. The curse presses harder, delighted with every fracture. I could say no. I could run back to the east wing, hide under the blankets, and pretend I'm still nothing more than a rejected Omega nobody wanted. Kane looks at me, golden eyes blazing, jaw tight with a fear he won't name. I won't force this on you, he says. If you say no, we find another way. There isn't another way, I say, surprising myself with how steady I sound. You know that. He flinches. Elara, you dragged me off that auction block. I cut in. You paid 5,000 gold for a girl you'd never met. Because something in you refused to let me vanish. My mark burns. I don't want that to be the story, I say, softly. That you saved me once, and then watched the world burn around us because you were afraid to use what you bought. His face changes. Not the king mask, not the warlord. Something raw. I didn't buy you to die, he says. Then don't let me, I reply. Stand with me. Hold on. Pull me back if you can. But don't lock me away. And call that love. Silence. Then Kane exhales. Like something heavy inside him has finally accepted defeat. Or trust. So be it, he says. We move now. Before the wards fail completely. The cliffs above the shadow veil are a jagged scar on the world. Wind howls through cracked stone as if the mountain itself is screaming. Below, the veil churns. Fog and shadow gnashing against the foot of the cliffs. Climbing in hungry tendrils. A wide circle is carved into the rock at the edge. Old runes, half faded, now painted anew with fresh blood and silver dust. The air vibrates around it. This will hurt, Varric warns. A lot. I huff a weak laugh. Pain and I are old friends. Kane stands just outside the circle, close enough to touch. Aldrich, Haldren, and a rang of ward mages form the outer line. Behind them, soldiers stand ready. Not that blades will help against this. Kane reaches for me. If it pulls too hard, you'll drag me back, I say. I know. He cups my face, thumb brushing the edge of my mark. If you slip, if you feel yourself losing, Say my name. No matter how far gone you think you are. Say it. His eyes search mine, desperate. Promise me. I promise. I step into the circle. The runes ignite. Light surges up around me, then inward. Threading under my skin, linking my mark to the carved lines in the stone. The world narrows to the pounding of my heart. Open the channel! Varric calls. The ward mages raise their hands. The sky splits. The curse hits like a tidal wave. Shadow slams into the runes, into me, trying to punch through. Cold claws rake down my spine, into my veins, into every old wound I've ever carried. At last, it purrs inside my head. No more pretending. No more cages. Our vessel stands ready. It pours into me. Through the broken bond scar on my neck, through the ache left by every rejection, every insult, every time I bowed my head and swallowed my rage. My body shakes. My vision whites out. Elara! Kane's voice roars from somewhere very far away. Breathe, I try. The darkness surges higher, trying to fill every crack, every hollow. It shows me visions. The citadel burning, wolves tearing each other apart. Kane on his knees in the snow with black eyes and a broken mind. This is what he becomes if you fight us, it whispers. Let go. Stop struggling. We'll wear his face. You won't be alone. Alone. The word hits deep. I've been alone my whole life, even in a pack, even with a mate. But I am not alone now, because beneath the screaming curse, beneath the fear, beneath the pain, there is a tether around my wrist. Kane's hand, Kane's voice, Kane's choice. He didn't run when he saw the mark. He didn't leave when he saw the curse. He stood in it with me. Heat sparks in my chest. Not soft, not gentle, fierce. No! I snarl. The darkness recoils, surprise. This is my soul, I say, voice shaking but rising. My pain, my scar, you don't get to own what I survived. I grab the curse. Not with hands, with will. With every year I was told I was nothing. With every time I swallowed my hurt. With every moment I stood up when I wanted to sink. I turn. Instead of letting it root in me, I yank it down. Through my mark, through my ribs, through my feet. Into the stone beneath the circle. The old runes blaze white hot. They drink the darkness like starving mouths. The curse howls. It tries to claw back up into me, but the circle holds. The ward mages chant, voices rising, faces strained. The mountain thrums, ancient and awake. Kane leans into the circle, hands on my shoulders even though the magic burns him. Elara, he grits out, stay with me, look at me. I force my eyes open. Golden light, wild and terrified, stares back at me. Say my name, he demands. Kane? I breathe. The curse shrieks, furious. Light and the shadow knot inside me, then rip downwards, snapping into the carved veins of the mountain like lightning striking a tree. The veil below convulses, fog sucked downward, dragged into the sealed ward lines. And then, silence. The pressure vanishes. The air is impossibly clean. My knees buckle. Cain catches me as I fall out of the circle. The runes die down, carved lines now dark and dormant, full of something ancient and bound. Elara, he says, shaking. Look at me. Elara. I'm here, I whisper. He crushes me against his chest. You stupid, brave Omega. He breathes into my hair. You did it. I laugh weakly. Did we win? Varric steps to the edge of the circle, looking down at the veil. The fog is gone. The shadows are gone. Only bare stone remains, scarred but solid. For now, he says, the door is closed. The curse is trapped. It will gnaw at the wards for years, but it will gnaw at stone, not wolves. Aldrich lets out a long, shaky exhale. I'd call that a win. Cain pulls back enough to look at me, thumb brushing a tear I hadn't realized escaped. You were never a weapon, he says, never a curse. They branded you rejected because they were too small to understand what you could be. His hand settles over my mark. This scar, he says softly. It's not a shame. It's proof. You took the thing that tried to hollow you out and turned it into a lock on the door trying to swallow us. My throat tightens. I've never been anything but unwanted, Cain. His expression breaks open. That was before I walked into an auction hall and saw the moon's cruelest joke standing there shaking and still defying everyone who wouldn't bid, he says, before I realized the most valuable thing in the room was the girl everyone called worthless. Tears burn hot. You can't say things like that, I whisper, and expect me not to stay. Good, he murmurs, because I don't plan on ever letting you go. He kisses me. Not like a king claiming property. Like a man who nearly lost his future and finally understands exactly what he risked. My wolf surges, pressing into his, meeting strength with strength. The seers would call it prophecy. The commanders would call it strategy. The wolves will call it madness when they see their ruthless king holding hands with the Omega nobody wanted. Let them. I know the truth now. I am Leora, once rejected, now chosen. Not because I was easy, because I was impossible to break. And the Alpha King, he didn't just buy a cursed girl to save his kingdom. He bought himself a partner who walked into the dark, dragged the nightmare out by its throat, and chose to come back to him. No one wanted the rejected Omega girl at the auction, until the Alpha King bought her, bound a kingdom's curse through her scars, and learned that the most priceless thing he'd ever claimed was the broken soul who chose to fight and stay by his side.